All right. So whenever you're ready to start your final third creative, expressive eye drawing, whenever that is, it doesn't have to be now, you can do it in your sketchbook. I think for this artwork, since we're going to be working on it all next week, it might be easier to do it in your sketchbook because some of you are back and forth, but you certainly don't have to. If you would rather do it on a separate piece of paper, a different type of paper, that's absolutely fine. But I just wanted to put it out there. And if you do, well, whether it's your sketchbook or separate paper, the first choice you have to make is the orientation. Is it going to be portrait orientation, tall, or landscape orientation, wide? And you don't have to stick to the dimensions of the paper. In fact, you might want to reflect on your process as an artist, because if you work very fast, you might want to use the whole piece of paper and really fill it up. If you work a little bit slower, you might want to make your artwork a little smaller so you can go faster. In order to make it smaller, a little trick that I do is I just draw my rectangle inside of my sketchbook. You don't have to do this, but if you feel like you want to go a little bit smaller than your sketchbook paper, this is a fun little trick. I also had a student earlier today who wanted a skinnier rectangle, so she did this trick in her sketchbook to change the dimensions. So that's just an option you can do. I'm also drawing really light with my pencil because it is my final draft. One of the things you can't see is I am using resources. I have lots of images of eyes. I also have mirrors. You can open up a new tab and you can look at things like I have, let me put this down for a minute. I have some silhouettes up here. So the other thing that you need to keep in mind is I am using a lot of resources. So when you're drawing, especially for the final one, it's different than your plan. You're not going to have arrows and writing, but you are going to be looking at a lot of things. Now, the next thing that I personally do is I think about composition. How many eyes will I have and where will they be? So for my particular artwork, I'm just doing one, and maybe your one eye can go in the center. Maybe it's off to the right, the left, the top, the bottom. So you can make some choices about where things will go. So I'm going to do it off to the side. You can also include like your eyebrow if you want. So I'm doing my rainbow line. I'm doing my smiley face line. All of those developed craft techniques we worked on. And if you want, you can even go back to my YouTube channel and you can look at those how to draw videos of the eye, and you can follow along with those while you're drawing. That's totally fine too. So draw really light. It's actually very similar to the way we've been drawing. And you're using a pencil, and you're just keeping in mind that this is the final one. Remember, when you do your iris and pupil, you want to make sure they're pretty big. And if you're having a hard time drawing your iris and pupil, especially at home, and making them circles, I walk around my house at home and I look for round things like plates, cups, dishes, bowls, whatever, and I will put them directly on my artwork and I trace them. So that's something you could do at home if you're having a hard time on your final version. You can actually trace some of your circular objects. In class, I have things like, I'm using my little cup here for my pupil, but I do have things like compasses, and I can show you how to use those if you want. But I am trying to make this more of my final draft and make it a little bit more, thinking more a little bit about presentation and craftsmanship. Then when you're ready to start to fill in your identity part, you have to figure out where that's going to go. So I'm going to do a beach scene. So I'm going to look up a beach scene on my computer, and I'm going to start to draw things like the water. I'm also going to have like a beach umbrella because my family's always the one with like a million umbrellas. So I'm going to do the beach umbrella, but you can be sneaky. Like my beach umbrella is actually going to be kind of a light color, and it's going to turn into the reflection of my eye. So you can make the different parts of your eye different things. I'm even going to extend the water out, and it's going to kind of merge into the blue of my iris. So right now I'm not adding the color, but I'm thinking about it, like what I'm going to add when. I'm going to be drawing a silhouette of the family. And artists look at things when we're drawing. I know that's kind of hard to believe, but we really do. We look up different images when we are drawing. And even if you see an artist who you think, oh no, I just saw them, they didn't even look at an image, they've probably drawn it so many times that they can do it from memory, but the first few times they looked at some kind of resource. So please, I know it's kind of annoying that you use computers all day long, but use them to your advantage now and look at what you're drawing. And even if it doesn't come out exactly the same, well, this is weird looking at myself drawing and a resource at the same time. Even if it doesn't come out exactly the same, the really cool part is that when you're all done looking at your resource, you get to go like this and click, your resource goes away, and all you have left is your artwork. So please try not to be too hard on yourselves. As artists, we're often very critical, we're often comparing, but sometimes that can be to our detriment. So please, please, please use the resource to help you, but don't get too caught up in making sure it looks exactly like it. It's just kind of there to help you out. I'm going to stop there for today. We still have 5 minutes, so you have plenty of time to keep working on your plan or to start